Learning is the art of attention, and really that's where observation, that's where presence comes in. And so I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favorite strategies and states to be able to learn any subject or skill faster. How many people like that idea? Now, in order to be able to do this, let me first start by acknowledging you for being here, because I believe there's a success formula, and it takes two parts. It takes first showing up. 50% of success is just showing up. And I appreciate your ability to show up here today, because most people aren't here. True or true? Right? I'll also ask questions that we know the answers to. True or true, right? And so we show up here, and most people don't show up. I think in life, you want to show up. Show up for your health, show up for your relationships, show up for your career, show up for your service. But just showing up, is that just going to get the job done? No, you have to what? Yeah, you play full out, right? You have to play full out. How many people here like to play? By the way, who are the fastest learners on the planet? Who? I did this to a group of 10,000 people from 60 countries, and a whole table yelled out pygmies. And if anybody knows why pygmies are such great learners, please tell me. But children, right? Children, how fast can a child learn a musical instrument compared to an adult? How fast can they learn a second or third language? They learn fast, right? Because why do children learn quickly? Because why? They don't know. Good. What else? They're curious. They have attention. What else? They have time, certainly. No limits. They don't have the learned helplessness. Very good. They're not thinking about the mortgage payment. Focus, right? I mean, they're curious, and they play a lot. Remember as a kid, you went to your friends, and you were like, you want to come out and play? Do you want to play? But later on, we got rid of the word play, and we started saying, let's hang out, right? And then all of a sudden, there's a difference, right? And the curiosity is important also. There's a Rumi quote from the poet said, trade your cleverness for bewilderment. Isn't that a great word, bewilderment? When's the last time you were in that state? We're talking about genius states and superhero states. When's the last time you were in that state of bewilderment? I mean, so who's in control of your state, by the way? Who's in control of how you feel? What's this, when we're defining a state, how would you define a state? What does it mean? It's like your mood. What else? This is where the active part comes in here. It's your emotions, like a snapshot of your mind and your body, how you feel. Here's the key. Do this. Information. Do this. Put your hands out. Information combined with emotion becomes a long-term memory. Long-term memory. How many people know this? How many people you hear a song and it'll take you back to when you were a child? Raise your hand. How many people it's not a song, but maybe it's a fragrance or a food that will take you back decades? Because information combined with emotion became a long-term memory, right? Because we're not logical, we're what? We don't do things logically all the time. We do things what? Emotionally, right? Because we're not logical, we're biological. We're not logical, we're biological. And so what I want to talk about is how to unlock what we call your super brain. I'm going to talk about the states, these emotional states where the best of you shows up automatically, where you don't have those limits. Now, in my breakout, I'm going to talk about the strategies, how to read faster, how to remember names, step by step, how to learn another language. Those are the strategies. But you always start with state. Everyone wants to write this down. All learning is state dependent. All learning is state dependent. That the emotional state that you feel when you're learning something gets anchored to the learning. Does that make sense? By the way, what was the state that you felt back in school? Primarily, how did you mostly feel in class? Bored, and the other half of the class is like confused, right? Now, on a scale of 0 to 10, what's boredom? On a scale of 0 to 10? 0. Anything times 0 becomes what? 0, and that's why a lot of people don't remember what they learned. It's the emotional state. Does that make sense? Let's test this out. Stand up real quick. Stand up. I have no slides for you. I'm going to take you through exercises. How many people like experiential learning? So it gets in your body, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to play some games. We already said that children are the fastest learners, right? Children are the fastest learners. How many people here feel like you want to learn more in less time? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you have books on your shelf you haven't read. More than one. And it becomes, like Lisa Nichols talked about, it becomes shelf-help, not self-help, right? How many people here get more than 10 emails a day? How many people came here today like to have a better memory? How many people forgot why you came here today? Have you ever done that? Walk into a room of your own home and just forgot why you're there? Anyone feel like senior moments are coming a little bit early? Like you're in the shower and you can't remember if you shampooed your hair. And you end up doing it twice, right? Or you misplace things. How many people here know somebody, maybe personally, who misplaces things all the time? The remote control, the Apple remote, their phone. Have you ever found yourself calling your own phone, hoping you kept it on? Or maybe you lose something like your car keys, or not something larger like your car. You ever see the people out in the malls and they're using their car alarm trying to figure out where they parked their car? And what about names? How many people here, honestly, you have trouble remembering people's names? How many people have forgot the name of somebody in this room? Right? And so let's start with my name. Hopefully you remember it. My name is Jim Quick with Quick Learning, and I help people to learn quickly. The question I always get is about my last name. My last name really is Quick. I didn't change it to do what I do. With a name like Quick, you could say my life and my destiny was pretty much planned out. I had to be a runner back in school, which is a lot of pressure when it says Quick right on your shirt. I have to be very careful when I'm driving, because the worst name to have on your driver's license when you get pulled over for speeding is the name Quick, right? Because you're not going to talk your way out of that speeding ticket. And I get to do my mission, my dharma, which is helping people to learn faster. I think if there's any skill to be able to master in the 21st century, something that's going to give you a real tangible advantage, it's your ability to learn quickly. And only because it's a sign of the times. Because digital overload, digital distraction, I mean, so many things vying for our attention. How do you get things done? But when I talk about speed, I don't talk about I'm not talking about frantic speed. You could actually learn faster and actually have an ease, a confidence, a peace of mind. How many people would like to have that? Be able to succeed, but also have this level of harmony inside of yourself, this clarity of thought. And it's the idea, how many people here read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey? What's the 7th habit? Sharpen the saw. Very good. Sharpen the saw. The metaphor here is if you have all this wood to cut and you have a saw with a dull blade, when do you want to sharpen it? Before you start cutting the wood, right? Because a lot of people are going to work hard, is going to work a lot harder if you have a dull blade, and they have to sweat and perspire and work 3 or 4 times harder when they could have sharpened their saw. And so learning how to learn, like Vishen was talking about, that's you sharpening the saw. Because anything that comes afterwards is going to be easier, right? And so if that person's not working harder, they're working what? Smarter. And one of the best ways to work smarter is accessing your genius states. So I'm going to test this out. We said that children are the fastest learners, right? That they have this curiosity and they play all the time. Let's see how many people here, raise your hand if you're willing to play. Now, it's been shown in science, the research, by playing more actually creates neurogenesis and neuroplasticity. What's neurogenesis? New growth, new brain cells. How many people like the idea of creating more new brain cells? What about neuroplasticity? What does that mean? More connections. So intelligence, in a way, is not necessarily, like Einstein didn't have a bigger brain than anyone here. Probably, it was actually less. He had a smaller brain. But in certain areas of his brain, he had highly connectedness. He did these thought experiments where he would put himself in these brainwave states, specifically theta state. The theta state of creativity. That's the state that you're in when you shower. Have many people notice when you're showering, you come up with all these wonderful ideas? And it's always when you can't write something down, right? And so that's the theta state. That's a relaxed state of creativity. You're inspired. You come up with new ideas. New things come out of you, right? And I actually took 6 showers this morning just to prepare for this presentation. So it puts you in creative state. And so he had more connections in certain areas. And so you could promote that by playing more.